I'm C. Marquez. I'm from Taos, New Mexico. I'm a sculpture installation artist, and I also do works on paper. So I have a pretty much daily sketchbook practice, and that's about it. I'm non-binary. I go by they, them, their pronouns. So this, for sculpture, my materials are only one material, and that is the tall-tumble-mustard plant that grows in a lot of states. It's a tumbling plant. Some people call it tumbleweed, but I use the word plant because I feel like it's not a weed. It's a beautiful flower, and it's a wildflower that grows where I live and rolls up to my front door. So I started working with it and found all of the ways to put it together using only that plant and its own, just its material itself. So it doesn't have any glue or any kind of securing devices of any kind. The way that it holds together in the pieces I make are tension and gravity. So with the sketchbook practice, I've been doing it for decades now, pretty much. And when I started working with this material, it was a process of deindustrializing my art materials. So I had to take a look at what I was using for my works on paper as well. And I was doing a lot of ink work. So I pulled out of that and I challenged myself to make pigment from this plant only. And I got a nice black because you can char it and use it as charcoal. And I also developed like it's like a color of amber or like light sort of dusty yellow. It's not quite as strong as mustard yellow, but this is a tall-tumble-mustard plant and it has yellow flowers. So I try to find ways to use the plant as the pigment maker. And then I also use one ink pen that's just a refillable ink pen for line work sometimes. And I also use coffee because I did do an experiment of all the materials that I use in my life that could give color. So blueberries and chili powder and again, charcoal from my wood stove. I live in Taos, New Mexico, so it's kind of off-grid out there, and I wanted to not contribute to bringing my art materials to me by fossil fuel transportation, and sat with how do I get pigment and make works with what's just right here. So that's how that's developed, and coffee is one of my favorite pigments. So that one, I have a lot of. So I work on the grid a lot, and I work within and without the grid. So I try to deconstruct the grid a little bit or alter it sometimes, change it up. And this piece was, okay, back up. I also title all of my artworks with number titles, so they have a significance. Usually it's a chronological significance, so it's a number of days or years or a certain date. And when I'm looking for the combination of the subject matter and the title, it also has to add up to 8 because my work is impermanent, but it's also about infinity and the two, how the two go together. So with this piece, it was actually a celebration of my time in Taos, my 10 years of anniversary of living there, and it's called 3,653, and that's how many days it was in 10 years. So each piece of these light, like spine pieces, one represents a day, so there's 3,653 of those. So then I had to back up and figure out how to arrange this in a display. And I figured out how many to put on each stem and wanted it to be symmetrical. So this is the pattern that evolved. It's just a matter of noodling it around until you get what makes sense, what's doable, what I can handle, and what I can pack easily and move easily and then install to make an impact. And I think this is a good example of a low footprint of taking up space and material use, and then a larger impact on a visual piece of art. So with this was, again, I was deindustrializing my art materials, and this rolled up and was accumulating on my front porch area. So, and it's just a beautiful plant, and I can show it to you real fast. I've got some pieces of it that I brought with me because they're just so gorgeous. And I was taken with it, so I brought it into the studio and started playing around with it. Someone said to me, if you want to simplify your work, take everything away and leave the one thing you want to work with, and that's what I did. I had a table and then this, and I started playing with it and started learning the strength and weaknesses and how I could hold it together with tension, and it has a lot of ability to do things that are really cool. So I've been working with it exclusively for about 4 years now. And I love it. It's really a part of me. I surround myself with it in my studio, and it came in on the back of my dog one time, so it just is like a little part of the family, I guess. But yeah, so that's how I started working with it and just deconstructing it. This plant is, it's a traveling plant, so it has a really strong base for a while, and then it snaps off and runs and flies. And I love this ability that it can be strong and free, and it's light, and those qualities are something I strive for in my life. So it makes me happy.